Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we're talking Week 14 recap of the Steelers-Cardinals. Final score, Steelers 23, Cardinals 17. This was a really messy game from a fantasy perspective, very defensive-oriented, kind of as expected, but just really ugly play from Kyler Murray. We'll start off with the Cardinals side of the ball. Kyler Murray, 20 of 30 for 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. All of them were really bad. Couldn't get anything going on the ground either. He had 6 carries for a total of 2 yards. Just you could tell he was frustrated out there. The Steelers defense has been very suffocating all year long, and they definitely let Kyler Murray have it. From a running back perspective, Kenyan Drake had an okay game. He had 11 carries for 37 yards and then 3 receptions on 3 targets for 30 yards. Finally, once everybody had them on their bench, unless you weren't paying attention, David Johnson finally came through. He had 3 carries for 19 yards on the ground, but he also had 2 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. So if you started David Johnson on a hope and a prayer, he came through for you. Nothing really else there. Christian Kirk, had another nice game. 1 carry for 4 yards, and then also 8 receptions on 9 targets for 85 yards. So you'll take that if you started him. No touchdown this week, but at least he got a decent amount of yards and catches for you. Larry Fitzgerald, 3 for 7 for 20 yards. Nothing really else going on for the receivers. And then Charles Clay had 1 reception for 5 yards, and he had the other touchdown for Kyler Murray. So maybe there is a tight end in Arizona after all, but I'm not trusting him from a fantasy perspective. Really, it was the Steelers' defense and special teams that did everything this game. Devlin Hodges, only 16 completions on 19 attempts for 152 yards, had a touchdown, and had 5 carries for 34 yards on the ground. So nothing crazy there, but he kept the game alive, didn't do anything to sacrifice Pittsburgh's chances of winning. The running game was a mess. Benny Snell was terrible. He had 16 carries and only 41 yards, and he had a pretty bad fumble. No catches on the day. Jalen Samuels had 7 carries for 16 yards, also had 2 catches for 18 yards, so really nothing there. And then out of nowhere, Kareth White Jr. came in and also got 5 carries for 41 yards and a reception for 9 yards. So this has really just turned into a backfield that you can't really start or trust anyone in fantasy, unfortunately, until James Conner comes back. And then they play the Bills this week, so even if you have James Conner, if he's coming back from injury this week, it's going to be hard to trust him. Looking at the receivers, James Washington didn't perform the way that we were hoping. He had 4 receptions on 4 targets, but he only had 33 yards on the day. Today was a Deontay Johnson show. He had a tremendous kick return touchdown, and then also had 6 receptions on 8 targets for 60 yards and a touchdown, and he had 2 touchdowns on the day for him, 1 receiving and then 1 kick return. He also had a carry for 16 yards. So this was just a really good day for Deontay Johnson and not really anyone else on the Steelers side. If you started Vance McDonald hoping for him to take advantage of the league's worst tight end defense for the Cardinals, he did absolutely nothing for you. He had 1 reception for 3 yards. Just gross. So overall, this was really a gross fantasy game. There were a couple of diamonds in the rough here, but for the most part, if you played the Steelers defense, that's honestly the people that are the most happy with the outcome of this game. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be continuing to post content throughout the entire season and into the off season. So if you do, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.